She leads the church with two other co-pastors. She says she's the senior pastor by default, because she's willing to step up. Lewis knows about those things. Old before his time. She leads a mediumship unfoldment lyceum, which meets twice a month, which emphasizes how-tos on meditation techniques, physical and mental mediumship, and helping participants with their development. Reverend Darby is a dedicated spiritualist and has studied many places, but more particularly at the Morris Pratt Institute. Please welcome Reverend Bonnie Darby.
Thank you. You know, every one of us develops through our own experiences, our own belief about death and the afterlife. I've known people who were terrified of dying because it was an unknown, or maybe they were afraid of facing judgment. This fear could have come from past beliefs or religious training. And then I've known people that looked forward to transition, and they embraced the change called death. I've known people that actually said, I'm ready, let's go. Our religion is based on the proof of the continuity of life. My husband feared dying. He feared leaving his physical body. He feared it so much he suffered greatly during his transition. The sad truth is, he judged himself. He made up all of these things, this wonderful man throughout his life, that he was just sure God was going to tell him he was a sinner and he wouldn't be in heaven. Now, being a spiritualist minister, married to someone like this, it was challenging, but his fear was greater than his understanding of what it's really like. Now, I would tell you, my mother, on the other hand, every time I would visit her in a nursing home, she'd say, why hasn't God come to get me yet? I said, I don't know, Mom, that's between you and God. She was ready. So what I'm leading up to, actually, is I've always been fascinated about what it's like on the other side. I've read lots of books where Spirit's given us messages, but I wanted to know, actually for myself, what's it going to be like? What's it feel like to be a soul? I went through a process of training where I'm hypnotized, basically to read the Akashic records. But what the fun part is I asked the hypnotist to ask while I was in this deep state, not knowing what's it like on the other side. Ask me questions. I want to know. So here are a few things that came out. One of them was, I towed this down. The hypnotist was not a spiritualist, so there were some challenges through all of this. But one of them was, I said, I'm in a garden. And he's thinking, you're supposed to be in the etheric levels, up in other planes of existence. What do you mean, garden? And I said, I'm in a garden of colors. I said, in this garden, people who are making their transition, people who die, are brought here to heal in the vibration of all the colors. And this is where they first go. And many of us are here to bring them in here. I've never seen the Garden of Colors, or I don't remember if I was seeing the Garden of Colors. Let's put it that way. But it was talked about how one of the things this garden does is adjust us to the higher energies, but it helps us to detach so that we aren't pulled back, so that we can evolve, so that we can become compatible with God, which is our true journey. Then I asked about, then he asked me about, actually. He said, where are you? Then I said, everywhere. And like I said, the conductor isn't of my belief, so this was a little foreign to him. And he finally said, what do you mean by everywhere? Well, the understanding is we're a part of everything. And our soul can be everywhere. And what we forget while we're here is we can do that right here. We're unlimited here just like we are there. We just feel our body more. So just think about it for a moment. Our true essence, who we are inside, is unlimited already. We are everywhere. We are connected to everything. We are connected to one another. Then, the final question that I had to talk about was, and I really thought this was interesting. There was a question asked about visiting on Earth. And the response was that you shine your light to visit the ones you left on Earth. You shine your light and it takes you to them. And throughout the process of shining this light, that you can form an etheric body so that they know who you are and they understand who you are. And they won't be afraid to receive and communicate with you. You recreate your form for recognition. Now this was a wow for me because I know you can manifest physical phenomena by ectoplasm. So I'm kind of thinking ectoplasm, that sticky, misty stuff that we talk about, that many people have been fortunate enough to see, that manifests physical phenomena. Is it partly light? Or is the light that they're talking about how you project your soul to the person? I still have lots of questions about what it's like on the other side. The thing I understand the most is the beauty. You know, back to fearing death a little bit. I had been asked many, many times, what did you say to your husband that feared death when he was making his transition? Of course, I'm a spiritualist and these religious beliefs were mine. But what I would tell anyone is, look for the light. Look for that shining, beautiful light and move towards it. And I said, if you can't feel the light, feel the love, because that is what we're about now, and that is what we're about in the afterlife. The energy of love that creates everything. So I said, if you can't see it, feel love. You'll find your family there. You'll find the people that help you. You might even find your dog waiting for you. And they're the ones that can tell you what it's all about. I don't get to know all the secrets just yet. Not long after my husband died, I went to a medium. Now, I've been a medium more years than I care to talk about. But I did. I went to a medium and they said, your husband's here. And I thought, good. And I'm communicating. I said, that's really you. You need to prove this to me. Because I need to know. I'm a medium. And in our conversation, eventually the medium, and this is part of spiritualism, proving the continuity of life. the medium looked at me and he had this really surprised look on his face, and he said, he just stuck a piece of black licorice in my face. And I started laughing. That was my husband's favorite candy, and I hated the smell of licorice. And I thought, you couldn't have done any better. So the spiritualists had our proof. That's our job. That's what we mediums, ministers, we prove the continuity of life. We prove we go on, and we evolve. We evolve until our energy becomes compatible with infinite intelligence. So, one of my first early spiritualist churches was, I visited a church in Gary, Indiana, and they had this on the wall, and it's probably still my favorite saying. There is no death, there is no dead. There's only change, and that's whether you're in the here or the hereafter. Life does change, and thank you.
Reverend Darby, thank you. And I think the meditation was talking about light. We didn't even coordinate that. Spirit was